You've heard a lot of talk recently in the news probably about how the inventory is in real estate. It's low. That's no surprise. And this video is not going to go into why it's low or how it's low. I've talked about that in some other videos. What I want to talk about today is new construction. And when I say new construction, what I mean is a project that you manage yourself. So perhaps if you can't find what you're looking for because of our low inventory situation, or just because you have ideas about what you want your home to be and to look like, a project, a shell of a house, that can be your own new construction project could be exactly what you're looking for. I have a new listing and I want to take you through it today so you can see what buying a shell looks like. And I also want to interview my partner agent, who is my co-listing agent for this property. His name is Nick Dunstan. And Nick has done a lot of new construction projects with developers and other builders. And I think it would be helpful for you to hear from him as well. So we can talk about new construction, how you go about it, what you should think about, the questions you should ask as a buyer, and why a new construction project might be right for you. That's what we're going to talk about today. New construction, building a home from a shell. That's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now.
I'm Sherry Ann Green with Coldwell Banker. Welcome to my YouTube channel that guides home sellers and home buyers in Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia.
So I'm outside the front of our new listing. It's at 5121 Klingle Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. It's a neighborhood called the Palisades. The greater neighborhood is called Kent. It is a beautiful neighborhood, and this house is over 3,600 square feet. It's a shell, as I mentioned. I'll go inside and show you a look. So this is our new listing. We're at 5121 Klingle Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. And I want to take you on a little tour inside the house so you can see what I mean when we talk about it being a shell. So inside the entry here, you can see the house is all framed up. This is what we call roughed in. There's electrical, plumbing, framing is done. There's Nick at our work table. Windows are mostly in. All of them are ordered. Appliances are ordered. Cabinets are ordered. This gives you a good example of what a roughed-in house looks like. It's been gutted, and everything has started to be put back in the place that it will go in the finished house. So this is our kitchen, and you can see on the floor the rough end of where the cabinetry would go to give you an idea of how big that island is, how big the cabinetry would come out to in this room. And you can see the plans on the walls and the rough end of vent work and pipes and plumbing. So this gives you an idea of how a roughed in house looks like. As I mentioned, it's a split level. So upstairs on this level, we've got 3 bedrooms and a nice bath that would be shared by all 3 of these. You can certainly turn one into an office, but here is the super nice bathroom. And then upstairs is a master suite, which has 2 huge walk-in closets. The house even has attic space, which is amazing. And then the master looks out over the really lush backyard and has a huge bathroom here. And that's our attic at the top. Going off the kitchen to the downstairs, we've got what could be a great family room here. There's also a mudroom here, laundry, and this leads straight into the garage. So super handy if you're coming in from walking the dog or from the neighbor's pool and you want to drop everything into the laundry room. And then we have one more level down as well, which would be another great family room, playroom. A billiard room would be really cool down here, wood burning fireplace. And then we have an au pair suite in the back. So a space for a kitchenette, a private bedroom, and a really nice bathroom as well. Nick and I are at our newest listing. It's at 5121 Klingle Street, Northwest in Washington, D.C. And as I talked about at the beginning, if you've been looking and can't find what you want in a house, new construction might be the way that you want to go. And when I say new construction, there are different ways that you can do construction, new construction. So you could be buying from a developer who is already developing a project, whether it's a house in a neighborhood or whether it's a condo. But what we're talking about today, our listing is a shell, for lack of a better word. Is that a good way to put this, Nick?
For lack of a better word, this property is a shell.
Sorry.
As everyone knows, it's a competitive real estate market. There's, multiple bids on properties. Homes have soared, 12% alone this year, just nationwide. So, buyers are, like you mentioned, they're looking at other ways to unlock some inventory.
You could start with something that needs a lot of work and you get it to the state that we're in at Klingle, or in the case of what we have, our client started, had a life change. They are not able to finish the project, so we're selling a shell that has what we call rough ends. Why don't we talk a little bit about
Correct.
What does rough end mean?
So a rough end, at Klingle, as you can see behind us, the framing is up. Some of the systems are in place, some of the mechanicals are in place. So a rough end simply are your most basic framings. Your fixtures are set, your electric lights are already posted. So
Right.
It's almost like you have the framing think of it as a puzzle. The framing and the outline is set, and all that's left to do is to plug in the following pieces: the drywall, the paint, the actual finishes.
Okay.
The structure's up. The framing is up, the plumbing, the HVAC, the electrical, all of that is in place.
Okay.
So now this is a perfect opportunity for someone to come in and complete this project.
So in a case like this, sometimes it's hard to see when it's really been gutted all the way and all you see are four walls and a roof. This gives you a little bit of an idea and a little bit of definition. So it makes it a little bit easier to talk about. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. You can start to see the lines and, sort of the rooms outline. You can
Okay.
tell like where light fixtures will go, where vanities, cabinets, where everything the finishes that would really make up a home. At this point in the construction, you can start to see where these pieces will go in. So it's much easier for someone to, kind of think about what they would need to do to complete their vision. Now you can kind of pick out the flooring, you can pick out the color schemes, the brands. You're not having to rely on a developer to already plug in what they do on every other home. This sort of a cookie cutter type of project. So here, some of the hard work, the real labor's been done, and you can figure out what schemes that you want.
What's neat about it too, I think, is oftentimes when we're thinking about existing homes and selling them, we're trying to stage them so that people can get an idea of how they would live in it. So this is almost like a staged shell, if you want to think of it in that term.
Yeah.
You can start to see the vision. You can start to see how big rooms would be. You can start to see what's going to happen on this left corner and in this right corner. And I think that probably helps overcome some of the obstacles that a lot of buyers may have in visualizing what the finished product would be.
I mean, honestly, most people at this stage in the construction project, this is really the fun part. This is the part where all the heavy lifting with the framing and the mechanicals, sort of everything that's behind the scenes of a home, that's been completed. So now this is really like, where do your color schemes, your personality, your designs, like where does that start to come into the project?
Let's talk a little bit for our viewers about what are important questions for a buyer coming into a home like this. What are some of the things you would advise your clients to ask if they were touring this type of property with an eye toward making an offer, making a purchase?
So this type of property, you want to take a look at obviously what the permits are.
Okay.
You want to see what materials have been paid for. You want to see what work is outstanding. You want to make sure that you have clean title. You want to make sure that there are no violations, no citations, no problems with whatever governing permitting office you'd have to go through. Or do as much diligence as you can on what has been completed in the project, what needs to go, and then what materials will convey. Then you want to bring in a good contractor and your own designer, keep the project going and pick up where this project might have been left off.
And how long, looking at a project like this, and everything obviously is dependent on materials being available and the cabinetry you pick out, whether it's custom or off the shelf, let's call it. But what might be a typical time frame to finish a house like this? We're at 3,600 plus square feet, so 5 different levels. It's what we call a split level. But how much time would you expect that we might need to finish a project like this?
That's a great question. It really depends on the level of finishes and some of the materials that you order. You know, the more custom or unique some of the pieces or finishes, then the longer that's going to take for these to arrive, and then line up the specialty contractors to complete the project. But if you're going to do, to answer your question, if you're going to do something very simple here, kind of stock, I mean, you're maybe about 6 months out, you know, if you really hustle. If you're going a little more custom and you're having to special order some pieces and find the right contractors to put those in, it could be about a year out. But I'd say someone could comfortably, if they really know what they're doing, they could finish this in within 6 months.
Anything else we should think about as we look to buy potentially new construction or something in this condition that is a shell? Anything else that would be important for our...
Check the exterior, check the roof. Get some, while you're mobilizing your contractors, try to work them to scale. So try to do as much as you can all at once while you have everything out in the open. It's difficult to go back on something. If you've already had one vision, it's difficult to try to execute that and then go back. So come up with a plan ahead of time, get the right people, pay for good contractors and good work so you're not having to come back again a second time. That's the best advice I can give.
Thanks. I appreciate everything you've given us today. I hope this was helpful, and my channel is all about being helpful to your real estate process, whether you're buying or selling. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video, whether you're buying real estate or selling real estate. See you next week.